JTS. This is JTS. I'm hearing the echo in my ears.
I think
Hey, super.
that's on purpose.
Producer. All right, there you go. We all fixed.
Right.
JTS Nation, we back. It's on a Tuesday night. Hey, it's been a little while since we've been on the show. Been a little while since we been up in here talking to y'all. You know, a lot of things have been going on, but we figured this was a good time to come back to see all them faces, to hear from you, and get the JTS Nation back doing its thing. What's up, T? How you doing?
I'm here. I'm hanging in there.
Yeah, you surviving?
I'm surviving. I did venture out a little bit this weekend. I did some outside dining.
Cool. All right. Were you responsible?
I wore my mask until my food came, and
Oh,
then
okay.
I took it off briefly, and then when I was finished, I put my mask back on.
All right. Very nice. Very nice. Okay. All right. Good. Coach, what's up?
What's up? Coach is in the building. Coach is back in the building. Y'all tried to have a show without Coach on my birthday.
Yeah.
Turned the big 32. So,
That must be some new math.
32?
Yeah.
Oh, right. You was born in 1932. Is that what you meant? You left off the 19.
Oh yeah, hey man, it don't matter when I was born exactly. I still look good, right? So
you look good, man.
Yeah, y'all had a show without me. I just want people to know that I was celebrating, had a very fantastic birthday.
That day. Give you a great shout out.
Oh, very birthday.
We thought you was going to join in. We didn't see you, but we didn't leave you out.
Oh, okay.
It was your birthday. We wouldn't do that to you on your birthday. Now, if it was another day.
Nah, we just figured, you need to celebrate, get your drink on. We can't have drunk Coach on the show. We can barely handle regular Coach on the show. We can't take drunk Coach.
You know what? Maybe you got him drunk, though, hey?
I ain't taking that chance.
Nah. Right.
I ain't taking that chance. Nah. But yeah, so Dub is in the building here representing. Hey, I guess from the last time I was here, ain't much change. I'm just in the house working, doing whatever, trying to stay safe. But even though things have been calm in my household, things been calm in your household, things in this nation are not calm at all. So today on JTS Nation. Oh, before I go any further, super producer, are we allowed to take calls? Is that a yes or a no? No. So if we can have somebody,
I'll try to check the page as soon as I can get on the computer. But
yeah. Right, so we may have
comments in the chat. Comments in the chat. Yeah.
Comments in the chat.
Comments in the chat will respond. Because this might get deep. Hopefully
it could. So
remember the disclaimer we talked about yesterday, guys.
Yeah.
What is the disclaimer, T?
No. We talked about it offline, so we just making awareness.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We all good. We all good. So we encourage our listeners to put the comments in. Coach will take some time to read the comments, and we will do our best to respond accordingly. But as you know, things that have happened in the last week or so, things that have gone on with George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and the different deaths that have happened to African Americans in this country. Particularly when you talk about law enforcement, that has happened not just over the past couple of weeks, but has been happening for decades and decades. And if you want to go even further back, we can go hundreds of years. And it has finally came to a head. So on today's show, we're all gonna talk some sports, but I just thought it would be irresponsible of us to ignore what's going on in our nation. We have a platform to talk about it, and if you want to comment, please, we encourage. So obviously there's a lot of unrest in our nation, and we have people speaking out, people protesting. There's been, unfortunately or fortunately, however way you want to look at that, riots, looting. But it has gotten the attention of the players in this country and different people in this country, people that maybe not have understood what's been going on, whether they eyes have been closed or just honestly just didn't know. And so we're standing up and trying to, still fighting for these rights, that we just want to be treated fairly. But when you go to the particular, the thing that sparked this is the death of George Floyd that was killed at the hands of those 4 officers. This is not the first, and we hope it is the last. But has to be some change. Coach, any thoughts that you have on what's been happening in the past week or so?
Well, why'd you come to me first, man?
Coming to you, man, because we know you got something to say.
I do, but it's not what people think I should be saying. It's not like I care, but it's not from the same script that everybody's been reading from, man. I just
we want different opinions.
I know that's the thing. We do not want different opinions in America anymore. We want one opinion. We want that opinion fed to us by whomever. But we want people walking lockstep in the same opinion. I mean, I'm not really big on the protests. I'm not really big on the looting, because you're protesting on Saturday at City Hall. Like, what are these protests designed to accomplish? Like, they're like my thing is that there are. So one, I always say that I hate when real life interrupts my sports. During COVID-19, coronavirus, that really interrupted my sports, and I really hate it. And then now this is going to enter into my sports, and every athlete has a comment on quote unquote racism. And there's a difference between racism and prejudice. And people need to make that distinction. Racism is something that we need to address. Prejudice is something that we can talk about. And racism, usually comes down from institutions and people in power. Just because a guy is white doesn't mean that he's in power. I know a lot of white guys that, they ain't in no power nowhere, no how. But I don't understand. What I have yet to get is, what are these things supposed to accomplish? Like, there's a like when you look at the marches, and this is the problem, is because when you begin to analyze what people are doing, it doesn't jive with what they say. Like, when you look at the marches in the 60s, the marches in the 60s depended on the violence. Like, nobody wants to, if everybody wants to have a historical discussion, without the violence, without Bull Connor, without the dogs, without the hoses, the civil rights movement doesn't work, because it's the appalling nature of the beatings that made the rest of the country say, well, what's going on down there in the South? Made Kennedy take the trip through the South. Robert, not John. So when people talk about Martin Luther King being nonviolent, my frat brother, they don't fully understand the strategy. And then when you bring that strategy forward into the 2020s, it's like running the wishbone. When's the last time you seen a team run the wishbone in the NFL, Aaron? T?
No, it's been a minute.
It's been a minute. It doesn't work. It's not effective. And I believe that these things, these demonstrations, people holding signs, people demonstrating on Saturday, is not going to be effective. And there are a lot other ways to accomplish this now, because there are enough people that have access to make changes. So I'm not. And I might be saying the wrong thing. Like I'm going to get a black man that doesn't believe that demonstrations that worked in the 60s going to work in 2020, or that they have the same purpose. But yeah, I'm gonna stop there, man. That's what I think. Thank you for asking.
Hey, yeah, you're welcome. I mean, that's why we're here today, to hear opinions and to get perspectives. well, as usual, and I'm glad that you have your point of view because I disagree. But that's what we do on this show. We're all open to our opinions. The reason why I think the protests are effective, and you have to think about, you say, so what is the point of the protest? Well, the protest is just the first step. I think we have to be clear in that the protest is not the first and the last step. So if you just go out and you throw some signs up and you walk down the street and then you walk home and you go back to doing what you were doing, yeah, it's pointless. So the protest is only to put it out there, say, hey, there's something wrong here, and the more people you get to do that, the more attention that you're going to get. So suppose, let's say you got 10 people with a sign protesting. Well, and nobody's paying attention to that. Nobody. But if you have cities all across the country and other countries across the globe that are making this noise, then it sheds some light on what's going on, and then it sparks other conversation. It sparks conversation that I have had personally with people.
Mhm.
And so to me, that's the point of the protest. But that's just the first step. T, what are your thoughts on what's
Well,
been
I think
going
the
on and maybe
protests
what Coach has said?
have been very beneficial because of, you know, I I understand Coach's opinion about, you know, the looting and um the violence. So we have, you know, the rioters, we have the looters, and then we have the protesters. But one thing that all of this has shown, and to me, out of all of the cases that happened prior to this particular case, because I think this case was so blatant. And again, to me, COVID-19 has come through because we're sitting still, because we don't have a lot of things going on. It's an opportunity where people are thinking, where people have time to watch and see the whole thing
Right.
through, where they're not seeing clips of this and that. They can see the whole process. And one
Right.
thing that this protest is showing is that it's not just us. It's not
Right.
just African Americans. It's all cultures. It's actually, in some of these protests, it's more whites than blacks at the protest.
Right.
And to me, if you don't have those acts, you can't show it. No one will see it. So if we just say no, so there are people that are outside of our race, out of our culture, that are bothered as well. And it's younger people. It's not our
Right.
generation. And if you don't have that, you can't see that. And then maybe that can start jogging some awareness to the grandmothers of the other culture that, you know, they might have biracial families. They may have black grandchildren. Now it's a little bit different because the households are not up and down anymore. It's not straight. They blended everything. But if you don't show that, you don't see that. And as a mother of a young black teenager who I'm working very, very hard to give him the best opportunities for him to be successful. And I want him to be able to come home regardless if he's going to play basketball, if he's playing football, if he's out with his friends. And to the point that if this can make a difference for him, I'm all for it. Because as a mother, and sometimes you all may have grown up as black children, but your mothers might have a different story to tell when they watch when you were at a young age where other races may have come up to you very easily and said, oh, he's so cute and he's non-threatening. But then when you watch them grow and then you see the shift, I mean, they're still cute, but they not that kind of cute anymore. And you see them a little terrified, a little nervous. I watched my son come home from school, the lady that speaks to him every day. But one day he walked up because he almost doubled in size overnight, and she was frightened and she didn't know it was him. So, you know, I had to change routes for him to go. Like, you can't cut through the woods no more to go to McDonald's. Walk around, even if it's going to save you time. All these things are making a difference. And it's just awareness. Like Aaron said about the conversation, I've gotten multiple calls and texts. I've had my coworkers, I call friends, apologize. I'm like, you don't have to apologize, but we're not having those conversations. Just real quick, during the COVID, my son's an athlete. I want him to work out, and my mom was like, "Oh, he can just run in the neighborhood." I was like, "Nah, he can't run in. He can't run in our neighborhood. I'm not doing that." I was like, "We can find some. I'm gonna purchase some equipment. He could do some stuff in here, but nah." And then 2 days later, the story broke. Ahmaud Arbery being shot jogging in the neighborhood,
Right.
and my mother came back to me and said, "Wow." And I didn't know. I didn't think that was going to happen. I had that sense like I'm not doing it. It's
Right.
not. I want him to come home, and that's why I want to be a part of some way. I want to talk about it, educate, whatever I need to do. I don't want to be violent. I don't want to take away from anybody that hasn't done anything to me personally.
Right. No, I hear you, and that's why I think it's important is the awareness. But we all have different ways that we want to affect this change, and I've kind of been doing the same thing. I've been having conversations with people on Facebook. I've had some have gone good, some have gone well, some have not gone so well, but that hasn't stopped me. I've had conversations with people at work. I've had. Actually, just yesterday, I brought it up. We have our team call every Monday, and this was after last week when we had a town hall for the company where our CEO was on the call as well, and we were talking about what's been going on with the police brutality and the systemic racism. And it gave everybody a chance to jump on, and people were telling their story, and and I had the team call just yesterday, and I did not tell my manager what I was going to do. We just have our chance to speak, and I told my story about when I had an encounter with a police officer, and this was just 10 years ago. I was 39 years old, and I was at a happy hour in Timonium, which is just north of this in Baltimore County. Young lady who worked with us said she was leaving, walked her back to her car so she wasn't walking in the dark, and walked her to the car, and I'm in the parking lot, and I'm heading back inside, and 2 police cars run up on me. The officers jump out, guns pointed at me, and they just started asking me questions about a robbery that happened at the Rite Aid in the same shopping center. Now I'm standing there about to crap my pants because I got 2 white police officers with their guns pointed at me, just because I'm the same color as whoever that they suspect robbed this Rite Aid, and I have to answer questions with guns pointed at me. Now I'm standing there thinking I'm going to die, but these are the type of things that happen that aren't reported. Things that there's no statistics on this. This is not going to be on the news. And I have so many friends that have shared their stories that our white Americans did not know happened so often. And so they think that we just call the race card, we just play the race card whenever we want, and don't understand what's really going on, what it really means to be Black in this country. And some are not going to pay, some are still going to turn a blind eye. But if you're opening a few eyes, and it looks like we're opening up a lot of eyes, that's the start to make a difference. And I can tell that Coach is getting frustrated. But that's the way I see it. Now, we take this. How does this play into sports? There's been a lot of.
Well, let's go here, man, because I got a question that is sports related. Because again, my direction doesn't come from the news media. My direction comes from, what I believe wholeheartedly, my American experience, my research and my learning. So I rarely see eye to eye with what the media is feeding the masses. But I need somebody to tell me exactly, because I'm a black man, why am I supposed to be mad at Drew Brees?
What?
I said, why am I supposed to be mad at Drew Brees? Because it seems like everybody is mad at Drew Brees because he responded to a question, because he doesn't feel that people should disrespect the flag, and his teammates, it's just like everybody just piled on him. So I'm just wondering if anybody could tell me why I'm supposed to be mad at the dude.
Well, before we answer that question, I really want to hear. It sounds like that you're not mad at dude or upset or have any feeling. I mean, I'll go ahead and answer your question. I mean, I think it's not. For me, it's not being mad at Drew Brees. I mean, it was something that I expect. I mean, when you know who Drew Brees, I mean, he is a Trump supporter, so, and you knew where he stood before, and so I think, one, if you understand what's going on, and you say what you say, so obviously that is what you believe. What you believe, you can't change what you believe. I think I was more upset at the apology, because I'm not buying that you've been hearing this for 4 years, and then all of a sudden, because people started getting on you personally, because you weren't personally attacked before, so now you want to apologize. Well, I think it's a fake ass apology. You are who you are, so once you say it, go ahead and own it. And if you don't believe in it, you don't believe in it. And that's who you are. So you can then choose whether you're gonna still be a Saints fan, or if you're gonna change however it is you deal with the NFL, or you just deal with the Saints, or whatever it is that you do. So it wasn't a matter of me being mad at Drew Brees. I'm just like, well, that's how you feel. Forget you. I'm moving on. I'm moving on from you. I ain't gonna draft you on my fantasy football team.
I'm not going to draft my fantasy football team, not because of what he says. It's just that dude's old, and I don't know what you're going to give me next year. So I'm not. That's why you won't be on my fantasy football team. But it has nothing to do with your answer to the question that you was asked directly.
Well, I think the situation with Drew Brees was probably the timing, and with the timing that he decided to make that statement, I think Drew Brees, you believe what you believe in, and I think that he was a little insensitive to his coworkers, and I think he forgot that 70% of his coworkers are being affected right now. And what?
I'm gonna let you finish, because that's an interesting thing you said, being affected right now. That's interesting to me.
They are. I mean, they are, because now this whole situation has unraveled so many things. So to go on to that is that, Roger Goodell thought it was a time that he would make a statement to say that he now understands, and he's now empathetic to how football players were feeling 4 years ago. And clearly, the argument that has been for the past 4 years is that, this whole silent, peaceful protest that everyone is asking for was done, and
people paid the price.
Problem. So it was a problem that he peacefully protested. And I guess because they didn't understand, but it wasn't about the flag. It wasn't about defending the country. And at this point, 4 years later, you still are addressing this protest about the flag and defending the country.
Okay.
I don't understand how you're not getting that at this point.
Okay, so this first thing I got to say, did anybody hear the question? Well, let's do this first. Antoine said, someone put it best, it was a tone-deaf response. I did hear that too, Antoine. I'll tell you whether I agree with that or not. Monique said turning out. Give me more information on what you mean by turning out. Angry gets it done. Antoine said that makes no sense. And then Tawanda said 32 lies. So my thing is, what are we trying to accomplish here? Like, are we trying to, and this is my problem. Are we trying to open up a discussion, or are we trying to suppress individualism? And the reason why I say that, because, and I asked, did you hear the question? He was asked,
right,
now that these demonstrations are going on, do you think that the kneeling during the national anthem will come back? And he said in response to that I don't think we should disrespect the flag. All right. And then he said, it was all personal. It was what he believes. When I hear the national anthem, I have my hand over my heart. I think of my grandfathers who served in World War II. I think of, all the sacrifices being made. I think of even the civil rights. He even threw the civil rights movement in to try to be as politically correct as he can. But we now know it's not political correctness. It's suppressing of opinions that are not that of what's popular now. So so it was all what he felt and what it meant to him. So I'm saying that I'm not mad at you for that, Drew Brees. I appreciate that for Drew Brees, because you grew up in Austin, Texas. You are the son of two prominent lawyers in Austin, Texas. You are the grandchild of two World War II veterans. And I'm sure at your dinner table, that's what they talked about. And America and their American experience, that makes sense. And so now what you're telling me is Drew Brees, because and as an athlete, the dude has done a lot for the city of New Orleans. But now what we're saying is, you know what? We don't want to hear from you because of why? Because it doesn't jive with what we're talking about. No, I do want to hear from you, Drew Brees, because then I know you would disagree, but let me finish. Now,
I'm gonna chime in.
Because now, even if I disagree with you, Drew Brees, I can say to you, because now I know where you are, I can say, Drew Brees, my grandfather also served in World War II and fought for this country. I can say to Drew Brees that my grandfather, when he came back, did not get the hero's welcome that your grandfather got. And so my view of the flag, and I'm not saying it is or it isn't, I'm just saying that I can have this discussion. My view of the flag may be a little bit different than yours because of because what was talked about at my family dinner table. That's what I can say. And we can have an open discussion about right, wrong, and different. But now that's not what's going on. What's going on is we're suppressing opinions. And if you don't toe the company line, which changes day by day, because it was covert 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. Now it's demonstrations. I don't even think it's racism. It's just demonstrations. And if you and now, no, Drew, I want you to have that opinion. That opinion makes sense. You went to Purdue, for God's sake. What do you think they taught at Purdue?
That's the whole point.
I want you to have that opinion.
Yes.
But we can discuss that opinion. We can conversate that opinion. We can even debate that opinion.
That's what I said earlier in the show.
But to suppress that opinion, to have to force him to feel that he has to come out and apologize for something he believes is not the American way.
I disagree with what you're saying there. And I'm gonna tell you why I disagree. He said what he said. First of all, a lot of these opinions that people had were opinions that were given to them by Donald Trump, the president. Secondly, I have no problem.
Wait a minute. You can't blame that deep. What he gave you is not from Donald Trump.
What happened here? You can't tell me that all these millions of people came up with the same conclusion if Donald Trump did not say what he had to say. So he fed that out there, and people latched on, and so that's a good way to not talk about the actual issue. So then it became it became their opinion based on what somebody else said. Secondly, I don't, and if it is your opinion, fine, I'm with you. Put it out there so that we can then talk about it. Because that's the first thing I said when you opened up the show was the protest. It opens up conversation. So now we can have the conversation. So, but when you have an opinion, people may disagree with your thoughts. But here's the thing: the consequence for Drew Brees, if he didn't, even if he did not apologize and he stuck by what he said, was Drew Brees going to lose his job?
No, not for the comments.
No,
not for the comments. He might lose his job because his arm is sucks.
Okay, that's my point.
You might lose his job because if somebody
was not going to lose his job
and run him over.
Right. There was no loss of job for Drew Brees making that comment. But when Colin Kaepernick did what he had to do, he couldn't get back in the NFL.
But that's a Roger Goodell and owners issue. That's not Drew Brees' issue.
Well, that's my point. So people having a reaction to what he said, that's not forcing him to apologize.
No, but I'm saying, but you're being disingenuous. You're being disingenuous
because the apology is not real. Your opinion did not change. That
I don't think he should apologize. I don't think Drew Brees should have apologized because I don't think Drew Brees said anything wrong. That's what was my question. Why am I supposed to be mad at Drew Brees for expressing what his American experience is? That's his American experience. There are 350.
I think it was the timing. Because the timing that you make that statement is somewhat insensitive to the people that you work closely with.
How is it insensitive to say that I don't believe you should disrespect the flag? How's that insensitive? The question was that he was asked. Go back and look at the question. Look at what the question. Look what they asked.
Then we go back to the original statement that it was never about the flag in the beginning.
But again, that opens up dialogue. Like what I'm saying is, it appears that everybody's walking in lockstep with this issue, and if you have any dissenting opinion, you should keep quiet. Then guess what? There was a place like that in the late 30s and early 40s, and it was called Germany. It was called Germany.
We're not saying that's what you think. I'm not saying keep quiet. I've asked people to stand up on my page. I'm not saying I'm not following the narrative of if you don't believe what I believe, then I'm going to defriend you. That's what a lot of people are doing. And I disagree with that. You can do whatever you want, not you, but people in general can do whatever they want to do on their page. And so, to your point, that's what people are doing. If you don't agree with me, I'm going to silence you because I don't want to hear you. Well, I disagree with that. I want to know what your thoughts are. I asked on my Facebook page, if you are still a supporter of you're going to vote for Donald Trump, please stand up. And so when those few people did, I opened up conversation. We had offline conversation. Okay, explain to me. Why is it that you still support Trump? And then we started to have a conversation. Some of we still disagree, but that's fine. I'm with you on that. Mm-hmm. This is the spark conversation. And if you don't get people's attention, you're not going to have the conversation that you just said that we're supposed to be having.
Yeah.
So are we saying the same thing, but different ways?
No, we're not saying the same thing. But anyway, I got a comment. We said we was gonna read the comments.
Yeah.
Big Skip NCAA no longer guru after he got beat in his head last year. Said the movement was thrown its first interception. Voter suppression in Georgia. Social media movement led on the blackout, but no organization on how to support voters in long lines. With social media and problems starting early at the polls, the movement should be able to pivot quickly. So,
I'm gonna be honest with the whole blackout thing on the Tuesday voting here in Maryland. I didn't get that. I don't understand why. I felt like somebody did that on purpose, and we followed. Well, I won't say we. People followed that idea, but I thought that was not really good decision to do that on election day. I did.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
but again, yeah. I mean, I need people to be self-thinkers, man. I need you to read something.
Other than the whole
they,
blackout thing.
They got books out there, people. They got a whole lot of books out there.
Yeah. So back to we talk about, so we touched on Drew Brees, and then we go to Goodell, and it's kind of followed the same suit, and so now all of a sudden he's making his statement about Black Lives Matter and that they got it wrong, blah blah blah. Now my opinion, this is just another case of the money making a decision for you, Roger Goodell. You weren't with it 4 years ago because you thought, well, if we have Colin Kaepernick or whatever, it's gonna cause too many disruption. It's gonna cost us money. We're gonna lose fans. So I'm sticking with my owners. And so now, all of a sudden, this light bulb goes off, and so now, well, let me put out my statement, because if I don't, then that could possibly cost me money if I don't go along with the Black Lives Matter. I didn't, when I watched him and he delivered his statement, I'm sorry, I didn't hear or feel any real sincerity. And I don't know if that's just his personality, that he's kind of his tone is kind of mundane and monotone. But this is just a case of you following the money. Now, so you say the words. Well, let's see if there's any action. Let's see what happens next. And what I don't want to see, where it's just, which they may have already done, let's just throw some money in it. Let's donate some money to some organization who I don't even know what the hell the goddamn plan is anyway. But you can say, well, the NFL donated $10 million to the Black Lives Matter cause and social injustice and blah, 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 blah. You guys' thoughts on Roger Goodell? T?
I was a little taken back on that. I was surprised, but I just think he was just following a suit that a lot of other businesses have, I guess, to say they're making acknowledgement. And because along with the NFL, there were other companies, because on social media, there were lists going around of companies that was supporting supporting Trump, and and I guess associating that with him being against that movement. So then state companies then came back, because it was, well, we're not going to these 20 to 35 places. So I think it was a suit to follow with the other companies. I just think they really had an opportunity to take a step 4 years ago, but again, we can't really judge because this is just happening. So we have to really sit back and see if there's going to be any changes going forward, because right now we would just be making assumptions, and we really truly don't know. We don't know how any of this is going to pan out. We hope this will make a difference. We're hoping that people will change and be empathetic, and we're asking people to understand that will truly never understand. And that's what we have to keep that in mind. Like, for example, I told a couple of my coworkers when the Colin Kaepernick situation first happened, and they were kind of they're not happy about it. And I just said, I explained my opinion of why I thought it was happening. But the analogy that I gave them was that, God forbid anything ever happened, to, let's say, your mom, right? But let's say a coworker loses a parent or loses a mom. You are empathetic to that situation because you may have experienced some type of death. But if you haven't lost your mom, and then you do lose your mom, you then truly can understand how that person may have felt because you suffered that loss.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to being Black in America and you're talking to the other cultures, they're never going to understand because it's never going to happen to them because they're never going to be Black.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
And so we're asking people to empathize for something they're never going to experience. So you really can't you can empathize with them, but they're truly not going to understand. And we're trying to get them to understand something they're never going to understand. And we're also trying to get them trying to feel what we're experiencing. So it's like a give and take situation. So we still have to be understanding on that they're never going to understand.
Right.
And so that's what we have to keep in mind is that no matter what goes on, they're not going to they're not going to get in those shoes ever. So we just hope that change will come, that people will see that we understand Black people do stuff wrong. Black people do good stuff. Black people are successful. Black people are unsuccessful. White people are unsuccessful. White people are successful. But let's try to let those things be on an individual and not as a group. Because we could sit there and say, people talk about the crime and, they were criminals and stuff like that. I understand that, but, we can have that same argument. We go to the ID channel. We're not on the ID channel. It's very few of us, but we're not judging on it. We're understanding that it's a difference, but it's got to be an opportunity. We got to start from somewhere. If Roger Goodell is coming and taking a step, we got to give him that opportunity to take that step. If Drew Brees truly didn't understand, we got to give him an opportunity to understand and let them show truly if that's what they feel like when they get home. Cool. If they really want to understand, we just got to give them an opportunity to get something that they're not truly ever going to get. So I understand we might be iffy with Goodell, but we still have to wait and see. And then we are going to hope that things will be different, that we get a fair shake. I think Al Sharpton, if y'all watched the funeral of George Floyd, not this one today, but the one last week, no one is asking for a favor. If we do what we're supposed to do, we just want a fast shake at it. That's all it is. That's all we're saying. We doing what we're supposed to do. We don't want any walls put up. Just give us the opportunity to do what we want, what we can do if we have the same criteria, not being held back for anything. That's all we're asking.
Right. Coach, are you over there bubbling?
Nah, man, I'm not bubbling at all, man. I'm not bubbling. Again, man, I mean, this is the flavor of the month, man. I mean, y'all want to entertain yourselves. I think everybody should YouTube one of the greatest American writers ever, James Baldwin. He gave a speech at Oxford back in might have been 64. That kind of mirrors what's going on now. When you get in front of a number of liberal whites that act like this matters to them. So as far as Roger Goodell goes, Roger's history is out there. I know how you feel, Roger, about your folks came in, your PR people came in and said, yo, we need to do this, and so you did it. What does that mean? After and my thing about Roger's an equal opportunity screw, man. He screwed every player in the NFL. So I mean that players association, he don't care. He don't care whether you Samoan, whether you white, whether you black. If you in the players association, you got screwed. So I mean, I'm not mad at the dude. He's screwed. He's an equal opportunity screwer, man. Because because all he cares about is the shield. And I get that. So, but I mean, and again, this is my problem. I'm not putting much credence in what Roger Goodell says in a world where this is the flavor of the month. Like, this is really the flavor of the month, man. Holla at me next month. because come on, I mean, folks act like this is new, man. I mean, could y'all go back and look at the 1991, look at the Rodney King tapes, please?
Well,
Like,
well,
I'm not
when y'all say
I'm
they,
not enamored.
when
I'm
you
not
say they,
enamored.
I just want clarification. What they, you say go back and watch? You talking about blacks, whites, everybody?
Everybody, like everybody. I'm not everybody.
Why do you assume we don't know about that? We forgot about that.
Because it's the same things it was all hope and can we get along? It was all hope back then too. Like the same narrative. Like if you go into it's the same language. And again, like Skip pointed out, you got all this Black Lives Matter stuff, but folks ain't at the polls. That seems kind of contradictory to me. Almost, you know what? Because I don't want to have to apologize. I'm going to stop right there. But it just seems contradictory to me. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, I think that statement, I don't know if you may be making an assumption. Because it could be, you say people aren't at the polls. I don't know if you're talking about just in the recent polls in the past. Yes, there been plenty of people who haven't voted. And I agree. If you out there looting and protesting, but you haven't voted, yeah, shut the hell up. But yeah, we're hoping. I think all of us are at a point where we're hoping that this is not the first and last step. And so we hope
it shouldn't be the first step, man. Like that's the that statement.
Dude, you can't change the past. You can't change the past.
No, what it is.
This is where we are now.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like you acting like the past. Like this all started in 2020. Like this didn't all start in 2020. So, what's the first step then? Are we going to go back to Martin Luther King and those marches, or are we going to start somewhere in the middle? I'm just saying what's happening right now. Okay, I think
we can be a part of it or hope for better because they got it wrong in the past. Like, so then basically you being complacent to whatever is going on.
But tell me what's going on. I'm trying.
So
not
what do
to
you suggest we do?
Tell me what. Well, okay, are you for real? So if you want to, all right. So let's do this.
And so realize if we don't have 20 minutes,
so reform police departments. If you want to reform police departments, first you start with your local police department. Your local police department can be reformed by the stroke of a pen. All right. If you're in Baltimore City, the Justice Department has actually told you through a 2017 report what is wrong with your police department. All right. Okay. If you're in the state of Maryland, then maybe you talk to your legislatures about getting rid of the Police Bill of Rights, which allows police, and if other states have them, which allows police not to, and internal affairs not to be questioned for 72 hours, and to have a lawyer present. And there's some things in that thing that go to protecting the worst of the worst. If you are interested in reforming police, what you do is you create an environment where the folks who are good police officers and work hard and really are out there to protect and serve do not feel that they can't say anything about the bad police officers because of the code of silence, blue shield, or whatever you want to do. You start ripping at that. Yeah. There's a number of there are a number of legislative stroke of pens, all the people out there demonstrating that are the new what do you do during the daytime? What staffer or what mayor or what senator do you work for? Because we're talking about we're talking about legislative solutions. We're talking about legislative solutions. Right. They're not difficult. They're not difficult solutions.
How do you think they're entering in Minnesota the law where you can't in New York, you can't use a chokehold if you're a police officer. You can't put a knee in a person's back if you're a police officer. And they're trying to make it where if you do those things, there will be charges put against you. So this is just in the last couple of days.
Right, Coach, you can't.
Like you're shutting it down before it's even given the opportunity. If we're looking for, we can't change what's been going on for I don't know how many years overnight, but we have to start from somewhere, and we gotta be
Yeah.
positive.
So if you
Right,
hand,
right.
I'm gonna tell you this: if you hand me a team that's running the wishbone, I'm shutting that down overnight, and we're spread. We're going five wide.
I'm gonna need you to be honest with yourself and don't think that legislation gets changed overnight. We're already talking about changing things in the police in the police force. It's already discussions that are already started about. They're already
But
comparing.
I get it.
Let me finish. They're
Go ahead.
already
Go ahead.
comparing
Go ahead.
what because Camden, New Jersey, did this exact thing with their police force a few I want to say was 7 to 8 years ago. And so that thing, it takes a process, and they're taking a look at that example. Now, Camden is a much smaller city, and how they did their defund of that police department.
I'm not
But
advocating defunding police departments.
When I'm saying it's similar in terms of restructuring how things are done. You're talking about rewriting legislation. Well, I don't. When was the last time legislation was just you take out Donald Trump? But so it's a process.
No,
so
legislation.
We agree with you. It should be done.
Listen, legislation is a process, but we're talking about local legislation where the process isn't as in depth. We're not talking about Congress and Senate. We're talking city councils and mayors. That's the first thing. And the second thing, a lot of this stuff is administrative. So it's not even as far. It's the mayor making a call to the police chief and saying, I want some changes. It's the people. Like I said, if you're, I'll take Baltimore City because I'm a little bit more familiar with it. If you're a protester in Baltimore City and you're not aware of the justice, and again, I hate talking about this because this is not sports to me, but you're not aware of the Justice Department's report, then you're really not. What are you doing? What are you walking around downtown for on a Saturday in front of City Hall where there's nobody's there? Why are you blocking traffic when there's real like we're acting like this is not the 60s where people are begging for access. This is the 2020 where people can walk into places and pull legislation, pull administrative, go online, and all this information is available to you, and how to attack it and building the coalitions are available to you. Like, again, I'm disturbed because we're acting like there's no access. We're acting like people are begging for access. You don't no. If you're an African American and you go to medical school, you can actually practice medicine in 2020. If you go African American and you go to law school, you can actually practice law, which was a little bit different in the 30s, 40s, and 60s.
But don't you
be a Pullman porter. Not doing anything wrong with being a Pullman porter.
We should get this right before rushing. Don't you think? Okay, so if that's what we're going to. Don't you think you should? Also, so let's just go off willy nilly and just come up with anything. No. So it takes
what's
time.
The demonstration? The demonstration is willy nilly. The demonstration is willy nilly.
Then you don't have to demonstrate.
No, I don't.
As we said, there are different ways to go about this, and all of it helps. So I hope you have your way, and the way that I do things may be different from the way you do it. Doesn't mean that my way is wrong. I all believe we have the same goal and coming at it at different angles. So I hope the things that you said, which you think is going to be most effective, I hope you have gone out and actually done that. Since it should be the first step, or should have been done 2, 3, 4, how many years ago?
I mean, in 2017, the report came out based on the investigation that they did for the Baltimore riots. Like, I mean, like I just the first step. That's come on, man. Come on,
lead the fight, then, bro.
Come on, man. Come on, man. First step.
I mean, you pissed off. You said that's what. I mean, you seem more educated about this stuff than all. Lead the fight, and I follow behind you.
And that's all I'm saying. I just say, don't shoot it. You can't shoot it down. You got to give everything an opportunity.
I don't disagree with anything you said, except for maybe the time you think it's so easy.
Oh, it is. It is.
No, it's not. The legislation ain't never. Legislation ain't never been
easy. The judicial. Okay.
You got this magic pill that is easy now. Please show me how it is. Please. I want to see this happen. So
go ahead, T. You say something. Go ahead, T.
I was just saying that we just got to give it an opportunity. And I think the whole purpose here is that, while those officers are being charged, where in a lot of cases there are no charges that would be against the officers, and things were going said, even with the Ahmaud Arbery situation, those guys, it went on, that happened in February, and nothing went on until
the tape was released.
Until the videotape was released. Yeah. I mean, that's the change in a lot of it, that is being seen. That you can get a visual on it. But all I'm saying is that we're hoping, because we could do all this, and in 6 months, those guys could be found not guilty, and it'll start all over again. We're just hoping that what we're doing now, we're bringing awareness, we're holding people accountable, and we're hoping that not only this family, but other families. I watched CNN today. I saw 7 cases I've never heard of where men were killed during police stops. And those cases are being reopened and investigated, and charges may be brought against those officers. If this is going to peel back the layers of skin, to hold people accounted, so be it. If we don't agree with it, then you have to come up with an educated way, and instead of stating the problem, solve a problem. Because that's what we do. We sit here and state problems all the time, but nobody's willing to go out and make that first step. And if that person makes the first step, we're the first to criticize them, to say, oh, they didn't make that first step right. They should have did it this way. Well, then you show them what to do. You tell them what to do. You make action. But it's easier to point the finger at somebody when 3 more are pointing back at you. So if you're not going to do an effort about it or whatever, sit back like everybody else been doing year after year, and then you'll benefit if the change comes, or you'll be comfortable, or how you get past, like you've been doing the years for the last 32 years of your life. But I want to change, not necessarily for me. I want to change for my boy that I'm doing. I'm busting my ass to make sure he get a good chance in life. He gets the education, he gets the opportunities. And so if it comes down to it where they pick that person, he can stand up there with the next. It's not that he have a record, a felony, any of those things. I'm putting him in the best schools. I'm bringing him up in the best neighborhoods. And hopefully this is the path, like my mother did for me to be successful. That's all I'm trying to do. And if people will hold him down for that, I want my son to make it. I want him to be able, if he choose to wear a hood outside, wear a hood. But right now, Trey, don't wear no hood. And it shouldn't be like that.
All right.
He should be able to cut through the woods to go to the McDonald's to get something to eat. He can't do that. So if these things are going to help that, I want that. But I'm not going to sit here and shoot, and just be able to say, oh, that's not the right way. Figure out a way, do something. If it's funding the program, those people funding programs, that may help. If they make a statement, maybe somebody else may say, oh, well, Roger Goodell made a statement. They believe in Roger Goodell. We may not, but they do. Maybe that'll turn coat on them. Whatever it takes. We can't sit here and shoot it down. Give it a chance. Or come up with a chance. Come up with a reason. Make a plan. If it's not for your kid, it's for your nephew. You coach wrestling. You're giving kids opportunities every day. You're giving them motivation that they can do it when they didn't think they could do it. What are we doing out here? We giving our kids an opportunity to think this is our fight to be able to make change. It's nothing different than what you're doing.
Well, all right.
All right. Well, so I like to give this disclaimer that I know that there may be people who agree with me on the page, and I don't want you to post anything because the views of Coach are coaches, and I'm self-employed, so I don't want anybody to get fired for agreeing with anything that I said. So
I don't have a problem with people agreeing with you.
Just send me a messenger.
We all have different opinions, different ways to go about it. I ain't mad at nobody if they agree.
Yeah, we kept it politically. I think we did.
No. We want difference of opinions, and some. Hey, we welcome that. That's why we have a show. If we all agreed to do it one way, the show would be kind of boring. And it's even better when you say something and then T dig in your ass. That makes it even more bad.
Man, I stand by. I've been doing something for the last 30 years, so I'm not worried about it.
And I'm not saying, all I'm just saying is that
we commend that.
Yeah, we know. I know you do. I'm not saying, that's what I say. If you working with the youngest in the neighborhood, I know you're making the effort. I know what that sport does to little kids and gives them motivation that they can do not only when it comes to bigger or stronger. That's the same thing we fighting every day. Bigger and stronger and wealthier. Same concept.
Yeah. And so with that said, we are approaching 9 o'clock.
I just said, are we going to talk about sports next time, man?
We did talk about some sports.
I really like to talk about sports next time. Like the NBA.
Well, I tell you what, we can do a show next week, right?
Yeah.
Any reason why we can't do a show next week?
No reason why we can't do a show next week.
All right, well, we're going to do a show next week, and we're going to talk about sports for the entire 60 minutes.
Yes, sports.
So we can put a smile on Coach's face.
All he going to do is yell at us.
Oh, I know. I know. He's going to do it with a smile. Well, look, anybody that's listening, put your comments on the page. If you want to put comments to us personally, I welcome that as well. On my page, in my inbox, or whatever, however way that you choose, I'm open to conversation. And I believe the rest of us are open to that as well. So it's been a great show. Any last comments from T, Coach?
I believe that change will come. It may not be overnight, but just in what we're seeing in the last couple of weeks, in the diversity and the unity of all races, all shapes, sizes, all around the world, not just here in the United States. And, I just hope that all this is being done and it becomes of something, even if it's not right now, but real soon. I'm grateful for that.
All right.
All I'm gonna say is educate yourself, man. Take an hour, put the phone down, turn the social media off, read a book, man. There's lots of them out there, man. Educate yourself and then form your opinions after getting more information.
All right. JTS Nation, we catch y'all next Tuesday.
All right. Peace.
Peace.